Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the media stage here at GovAI Summit 2025. And it is my pleasure this afternoon to be joined by a variety of our different hosts, sponsors, speakers, and illustrious members of the voice and AI technology community. And one of those is Jonathan Aberman, who is with me from Hupside. He is the CEO and co-founder of Hupside, which probably should have a little bit of an introduction itself. Jonathan, tell me about Hupside. Who are they?
Hupside is a software company that I've been in the venture capital industry for about 30 years.
We won't hold that against you.
Well,
that's
fine. I'm a good guy. But more seriously, I found this technology last year and at one of the local universities. It's a technology that identifies how people are creative and how they solve problems on an objective basis. And I remember talking with the professor who showed me this invention, and I said, tell me why that's important. And he said, I want to show you a picture. I said, all right. He said, this is what an organization looks like before you introduce AI. And he showed me a scattergram of about 1,000 data points. And I said, what I'm looking at? He says, you're looking at how a bunch of people solve the same problem. See how different they are? I said, yeah, that's really interesting. He said, let me show you what happened at the same organization when they introduced large language models. And he shows me a graph. There are 3 clumps, big clumps, no more dots. I said, what's that? He says, that's AI in an organization where people don't know how to use it, where they're just giving back the answer that they get from the LLM.
Right.
All the creativity goes away. So I said, well, you know what? That's important in a world where we're running so fast at AI transformation. So Hupside came out of that. I showed it to my co-founder, Eric Baumgartner, another experienced entrepreneur, and we decided to go into business with these 2 scientists, these boffins, as we'd say over in the UK. And we've taken their technology and productized it so that now what we can do for anybody, it's a software as a service. You go and you set up an assessment, a test basically, where you can send it out to your team, and the team plays a game. And the game is, answer this question, be creative. So it can be things like, you just met a talking cow. What are the 3 things you'd say? Or you have met somebody who can only point, how do you communicate? Or your brother left you at the airport, how do you get the $200 back you spent on the cab? And what's fascinating is that when people answer those questions, maybe you can come and take the assessment later. It's fascinating.
I'd like to, yeah.
No, what happens is, in a very disarming way, we surface how somebody problem solves. And because of that way that creativity metrics have always worked, I can separate them into 10 different archetypes. So you and I are both using originality, but I might use it in a very extreme way, and you might use it in a more connecting kind of way. The Hupside technology surfaces both of that. And then what we do is we also ask people to assess their level of autonomy so that we can report back to an organization, you've got people here who are really original, but they're being really constrained. Or you've got people here who aren't original at all that need to be trained. And in the context of AI, where humans are the only way you can get differentiation, knowing how to train, how to put your teams together, and who's going to work with these tools is gold dust. And that's why we started the company.
And so when you look at those organizations where they're using AI, and you mentioned there was that kind of different kind of homogeny of the way in which people are behaving.
Yes.
What are some of the characteristics or traits of those types of organizations where people aren't leveraging this human creativity, this originality to the maximum?
Well, so first of all, it's important to note that creativity is a term that's overused in our society, and we are not talking about creativity meaning you have to be Leonardo.
Sure.
Everybody uses originality to solve a problem. It's just a question of degree. The best organizations right now that are using AI well have figured out how to match the benefits of AI, which is access to large amounts of information delivered very quickly, how to match that up with human insight. The organizations that are doing a bad job of it are the ones that introduce the tools and don't provide any sort of guidance for how to use them. The term work slop, which we're now hearing more and more, is a direct relationship output to people using AI in substitute for their logical reasoning,
yes,
and substitute for the creativity, taking the answer they've gotten and handing it in as their own. And so the hallmark of a really bad AI implementation, it has a couple of characteristics. One, it either has not many people are using it, and I can tell you why that is, because the reality is the only people in a company that will use AI out of the box well are roughly 5 to 10%, the expanders. Everybody else needs help. So you either have not a lot of adoption, or you have adoption and you're starting to get lousy output. And in both circumstances, our platform is a predictive tool but it's also then a risk management tool. It's like, well, wait a minute, why am I getting work slop?
Right.
You're getting work slop because these people are focals. You need to train them how to use it.
Yes.
Why am I getting crazy answers and all this work product from these people over here? They never shut up. They're expanders. They love the tool. You have to get them to calm down. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that has struck me a lot when you look at most people deploying AI tools at the moment, ChatGPT for Teams or Claude or Gemini, whatever it might be, is that most people are still using 5% of what that thing is capable of doing. And I think, that's not uncommon, though, with the way in which desktop publishing came into the industry 30, 40 years ago. I've had Excel on my desktop for 20 plus years. I still don't know how to do a pivot table correctly. So, what does kind of an AI-ready team of people look like, and how do we get them to actually use the thing effectively?
Well, so first of all, AI is very unique compared to other tools that we have seen, insofar as that other tools like spreadsheets or, the buggy whip or whatever, the use was rather obvious.
Yes.
Meaning, all right, it's a spreadsheet. All right, I use a spreadsheet. Oh, all right, it's word processing. The challenge with AI is that it's fundamentally a Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
It can be what we want it to be. That's number one. Number two, it's designed. Addiction is a feature, not a bug. And so it's designed to be as seductive as possible to get you to use it, but there's really no explanation there are no use cases. So you have a perfect storm of either what's in it for me, I don't understand, or this is cool. Both are not going to be a good result. So ultimately, to your point, we know that there are always going to be people in any situation who want to do new things, right?
Yeah, true.
If you know who those people are in a change management perspective, having done a lot of change management, once you have what I call the cool kids, you have the ability to transform. But the challenge is that if you leave the cool kids alone, they never distribute what they've learned to everybody else.
Well, no, and there's no incentive to do so, right?
Right.
Unless you find an incentive to give to them. So what does it look like to incentivize those people who have picked it up? They're the ready early adopters. They're the ones that would go out and buy the latest iPhone every year. They love to kind of get on top of this tech. How do you incentivize them to share the load and share the wealth?
So you're now
with
making the
else?
point that I make many times, which is AI transformation isn't actually about technology. It's what we would call change management.
Yes.
And so what you're asking is a question that all of us ask as servant leaders, which is, all right, I've got a group of people. They're really incentivized they love this stuff. How do I reward them? And the answer is going to be a combination of whatever it is an organization uses to create the right culture. So it can be rewarding them with bonuses. It can be rewarding them with stature. It can be rewarding them by fussing over them. It could be rewarding them by giving them a gift card. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But at the end of the day, a well-run organization matches role with career progression and compensation to scratch that itch that people have. Now, interestingly, you talked about iPhones. When you're selling a consumer product or product that's outside of an organization, you actually have to do the same thing. There have to be incentives. So you say, why are people early adopters of consumer product? Because it makes them feel cool. It makes them feel special because we're all novelty-seeking engines. So early adopters, whether they're in an organization or they're on their own, the behavior is the same. What they really want is you're amazing.
Yeah, pat on the back, absolutely.
They really want. And what Apple in particular did really well is they created something, and we all have them. They're intuitive. No, they're really not. But once you crack it, you feel it's special. Yeah. And you feel like you're part of the community. And that's why we all keep using Apple products. It's not like it was easy to use, but once we mastered it, we felt accomplished and we felt special.
So there must be a certain cohort of people who are always going to say, that's not for me.
Absolutely.
Right? The 10% or 20% on the end, we would have called them the laggards of one kind of age. How do we capture that total value that you want everyone on the same platform, everyone using these tools, and maybe how does Hupside kind of help you identify who those people are and kind of get to that maximum ROI?
Well, at the end of the day, in a well-run organization, or frankly in a society that I think most of us would like to live in, people get to compete on merit, and they get to have some level of autonomy. So we're not players, we're umpires, and I think that's a really important point. I thought that when I started the company with the team, I wanted to make sure that we didn't undermine our credibility by trying to offer a solution. I wanted just basically to offer the components so people can decide what to do with the information. To me, if I'm a change manager and I'm trying to figure out how to maximize my human ROI, Now, I have people who don't evidence that they're off the charts, but they're focal. Then I'm going to look at a couple of things. I'm going to look at what role are they in?
Yep.
Are they in the right role? Are they going to be happy in a role where they don't have as much flexibility? Are they happy in that role? And secondarily, if they're happy in that role and they're effective in the role, how can I take the ROI benefits of AI and make it relevant to that role? In other words, we need people on help desks, as an example. Well, you better not be somebody who fantasizes all the time about new things, because you will go berserk on a help desk, right?
Yes, yeah.
You want somebody who is focal, who just comes to work. But when the AI gives a response that isn't what a customer wants and they're irate, you'd better have the ability to make some connections.
Yeah.
So you either have to train them to migrate them to be more of an augmenter, or you need to have people in your help desk that are augmenters or even connectors so that they can advocate into the rest of the organization to solve problems. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, I know that in the world that we live in, there are CEOs that are leaders that lead through dictate. There are CEOs that lead through servant leadership. Somebody wants to lead through dictate. The answer of 20% can't function without training. Too bad. See you later.
Yeah, churn them out.
Yeah. Good luck to you. The well-run organization, I've always been a servant leader CEO. The well-run organization looks at human resources and identifies the right role. And to me, because AI is an accelerant of creativity, if it's used properly, you could actually get more out of people if you train them than you would expect. So it's really, to me, it's going to be a function of, to me, 5 years from now, the companies that start to look at their talent in this way are going to be relevant, and the companies that don't are going to be like Kodak.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Not going to be around.
No.
Developing in the dark.
Absolutely.
That's what they're going to be doing. So we want less AI slop in the workplace.
Absolutely.
We want teams that know how to do what they want to do and spread all that love around, create good incentives for people. Maybe just if someone was coming into this thinking about coming and working with you guys or others, where would you tell them to start? How do they start this process of identifying the AI-ready kind of team?
Well, I'm a big believer, we're both big believers, all of us, that you have to try something out to make it real. So on the Hupside website is a version of the product that anybody can use, and it's the same core engine that's in our enterprise product. I think you should start there. It's a lot of information. Ultimately, it is an enterprise product. So what we're looking for and what we're developing are a lot of interesting partnerships with large organizations that have this problem or have customers have this problem. And we plan to use the hackneyed term. We hope to be the Intel Inside for originality,
right,
for the economy, and we're just looking for relationships to do that.
Fantastic. Well, if people want to find out how to do that with you, Jonathan, or the team, where do they go to find out more information?
Hupside.com. We're there. There's lots of information, and we're always looking for more trouble to get into. So thanks very much.
Okay, well, if you want to be in trouble with these guys, it sounds like the right place to be. Go to Hupside.com. And Jonathan, thank you so much, co-founder and CEO of Hupside, for being with us.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.